Right, guys, welcome back. If you watched the last video, you'll know what this one's about. If you didn't watch the last video, then I'd suggest go back and watch it, or just jump in from here. It's up to you. Right, I said I'm going to do this piece next, so I'm going to mount this. Now, I can do exactly the same, and I can turn this between centres, and a lot of the time that is what I would do, is turn between centres with pieces this sort of size. And just for I think I'll give you a size on this. This piece of wood is, was it 5.5 inches long, and its widest point there is just over 4 inches, 105 mil basically. Right, so that's what I'm starting with. Now I could turn it between centres, I'm not going to, and I would advise, if you are new to turning, like this is what this is about for new people, invest in, or if you've got a chuck, you will have a worm screw with it. Okay, so put your chuck on and put your worm screw in. For me, I'm going to just put my worm screw. I've got a plate here that has the worm screw, so this is a direct fit one, and it has the worm screw on it, and I'm going to use that. Okay, now the thread size is what to drill it at. Okay, easiest way is to measure whatever you've got. Now my threads on here, my actual threads measure, the actual diameter of that measures 10 mil, so I will drill an 8 mil hole. It works for me, it works on here. I've got my bit here. Okay, I've got this set at just over the depth of that. Okay, I don't need all that, but a simple hole like that, try and keep it as straight as you can. It just helps because when you come to hollow it, you've already drilled a little hole in the centre, haven't you? So it helps for hollowing. So that's perfect. I don't need to thread it now. I would again recommend you just thread it all on, because once that goes on, that goes literally, that goes an inch into your wood, which is absolutely fine. We're not going to turn down below that, so that would be fine. Gives you a really good security. Okay, I don't need all of that out, so I'm just going to put a little plate of MDF here onto the screw. So that's on there, and then that's enough screw for me. I'm quite happy with that, and I'm just going to screw this on like so. Now you'll see a lot of people will start the lathe and push it on. Again, people will say moving that's dangerous when it's turning, but they stand and hold a piece of wood like this that's got corners and bits on it, start the lathe and push it on. If you don't move your hands quick enough and it catches, you know, you can get cuts, you can get splinters, you can hurt yourself, you can actually hurt your hands quite a bit. I worked out what I'd done wrong with my thumb, and that's been for a long time actually, and that was when I actually pulled my bit back and I had this chuck in, and I pulled it back and it had gripped, and I didn't actually grip it quite tight enough, and it actually pulled out of here and it started to go, and I held it, and that was what hurt my thumb. So there you go, just a little tip for you, don't do that neither. Right, I'm going to lock that up and tighten, so that's tight, and now I'm going to back it off again, just a few turns like that, and then go back in again. Okay, it will help to stop you getting it stuck, and don't over wrench it and wrench it. Once it's tight, it's tight. It will definitely tighten a little bit more when you start to turn. Okay, and that's fine. You want it to just do like that. Again, I'm going to come in, and this is an important part, where you position your tool rest. Okay, a lot of people will go across here and come across. Don't do that, and don't do that one either. Okay, you don't want to be here and coming across here. Put your tool rest, and we're going to be slightly above center, on or slightly above center is okay. Right, and I'm going to position it as close as I can get it without hitting the piece. So that's there, just like that. That's just going to miss on everything. It's just going to rub just there. Back it fraction, that's it, tighten down. I want my post to be right on the corner. That's where I'm going to make my initial cuts, and that's where all the pressure is going to be that's forcing down, and there is a lot of pressure forcing down. Now, for if you're new and you're starting, I've got move it so I can get that in. I would recommend, if you can do it like there, bring it to, I don't need it on this, and I wouldn't just for me, but if you're new to turning, bring your tailstock up, okay? Just pop it there. It just takes, you ain't got to dig it in, it's just touching, okay? That means it can't go anywhere. I've got a screw in there, I've got this in there, ain't gonna go nowhere, okay? Just makes it that little bit safe for you. If you're new to turning, that's how I would advise setting up. If you haven't got one of these worm screw plate and you've got your chuck, when you get your chuck, you will normally get a worm screw come with it like that, okay? So you just mount that in and put it on there, and you'll turn on your worm screw, okay? New turning, starting out, your first go, that's how I suggest doing it. Right, I'll bring you back when I'm all nicely zoomed in and we'll start turning. Right, okay guys, I've got you zoomed in nicely here and we're back. Right, now you can see where I've got my tool post is here. Now obviously when I'm here, I'm very close. As I get to here, we've got this gap, so we will get a little bit of probably a little bit of bounce or whatever you'd like to. You'd get a lot if you was doing it scraping with it flat, because obviously when it comes around here you've got quite a lot of force coming down, but we're going to be angling now. So again, I'm just actually slightly above center on that. We can make a slight adjustment as we go if we need to, but I'm going to be starting above center for doing this. Right, put your face shield on and we'll start the turn, and we're going to do exactly the same as we've done with a small piece. Tool goes in our left hand, so our left hand here, hand just on the top to put pressure down, and we just guide it, and our hand that is there, that stops any chips coming back towards me, okay? Right, so I'm going to start this up and I'm going to make a few turns, a few passes I mean. Right, here we go, nice and quick. You can see how the cut presents. It comes in close, goes in, I roll it, and around it goes. Now right here is where I've got my bevel in contact, okay? Bevel's in contact. We just take this down. And you can hear the slight noise on there. That's because I've got this gap here now. Look, I can fit my finger right in there. You've got to get that tool. The gap will come very quick because we're moving quite a lot of wood off of the corners. Okay, so we just move it in and we'll come in exactly the same. Handles down. So handles down, we've got this angle on our, but you can see how far above centre I am for where I'm cutting. But this way you get no catches, no grabbing. Get a nice finish. Now remember, this piece is 6 inches long, but the maximum diameter bowl we can get out of it at the top is 4 inches, so we've got 2 inches to remove off. Now I can see, I don't know whether it shows on the camera, yeah, you can see at this top edge here, where is it, at this top here we've got a ghost in. You can actually see through it, and that's where it shows you that it's not round. Okay, so we'll just very quickly take that bit off, like so, and there we go. We've got to move our tool rest in again. Again, try if you can to keep your tool post in the centre. Start just taking some of this bottom down again with my tool on an angle, so I'm pushing in like there. Okay, so I've got it at the angle, so it's cutting, it's actually cutting there. Look, now this is, like I said, this is, yeah, we're getting to the round point there. Yep, we're getting nice sort of shavings and that coming off of it. It's very dry, this wood, very dry. And I'm going to start preparing for my finish. Now I'm just going to take this down. I'm going to actually just make a couple of cuts in this way, so I don't burst off that top. And I'm going to feel just to see, yep, it's round. See, that's the gentlest of touches, look. Hardly touching it, okay? And I know it's all smooth, so I can have a good little feel and see what's going on. All feels good. Right, so I'm going to get my tool rest around to there, and then I'm just going to clean this very front edge up. Remember I said all we do is drop the handle. So we just bring the cutter on and drop the handle. The cutter's in this orientation, so we're cutting way above centre. We're not pulling back and scraping. We don't want to scrape. Right, I'm going to cut this in. Again here, I just drop my handle. That's all I have to do. Just drop the handle. Okay, the cutter can be flat, and I can come in there and then just drop my handle, and it will bring it out as a lovely smooth finish there. Now I'm going to make my tenon, and again I'm just going to cut in like so. There we go. That gives me a perfect tenon, and it's dovetailed. Okay, it's dovetailed to the 30 degree that which this is, and that'll be fine. And then I'm going to come from there, and I'm going to just bring it around. Now, come around here. That's it. I've leveled that up. I'm going to stop this in a second. Just have a look. Because like I said, this is very dry, this wood, and if you scrape this, you would have chipped it. You would have chipped it like mad. Let's just have a look at what we've got so far. Right, this is what we've got so far. Okay, now this is where I said the sapwood, which is pretty soft, but we've not got a bad finish on that. Okay, we've got no tear out on the end grain. We're doing pretty good. Okay, we've got a lovely clean tenon there. Okay, you can see that. I'll bring you round here for a second, and you'll be able to see all this better now. I've zoomed in as much as I can really zoom in. Right, so we've got a nice clean tenon here. Okay, we've cleaned our bottom up there, and we've got this. Now this is the bit that it's actually not too bad. We've got a pretty good finish. I haven't done a finished cut on this yet. Okay, this has just been roughing cuts, but it's nice. That's the punky bit, and this is the end grain. And as you see, we haven't got any tear out on the end grain, and we haven't, as I keep saying, we haven't done a clean up yet. Okay, and that's off of our carbide, and you've seen how we've turned that. So I'm going to now bring you back around here a bit. I can't have you right up there when I'm, because you're in my way. Right, I'm going to leave it up close like this, so you can see everything that's happening. Now, when you're doing spindles and you put your tenon on, it's important to have a nice straight shoulder here. On bowls, it's not necessary. You don't need to have a flat there. This can be rounded from there round. It's not necessary on bowls. You really don't need it. Right, I'm going to bring this in a bit. I'm going to lower my tool rest a fraction now. Just a fraction. I'm not going for a low at this point. Right, now I'm basically just on centre. Now the first thing I want to do, I'm going to get rid of that knob. I'm going to take this away. This is nice and small. It's not going to go anywhere. It's on its worm screw. Okay, I'm going to get this out of my way because it's just going to be in my way, and I'm actually going to take the live centre out of it, so I can't stab me elbow or anything like that on it if I come round to the front. There we go. Right, so remove that out of the way, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you just slightly sort of there. Let me zoom that out. This is probably in a little bit too close there. I'll bring that there. Right, now I'm going to take this little foot off. this little novel, I should say, not foot. So I'm going to start up, and I'm going to do that by just cutting in like this. Just to take that off, and then what I do is I come onto it on the centre, and then like I said, I just drop. All I'm doing is dropping the handle, okay, and then I can drop the handle and come right out like so. Okay, now I've got a little bump there. Now I can get rid of that by, if I put the cutter on flat, like closed like this, so put it right on its side, it can't cut, and I can gently rotate until I pick up a cut and come across. I'm a little bit high on the centre for this one, but we got it. There we go. And that's just cleaned that up. That's not the finish, I just cleaned it off, that's all. Important thing to always remember with it is treat it like a clock. Now there's your centre, so that'd be 12 o'clock. Never let the cut come above that centre mark. Whenever you're cutting, you must always be cutting below the centre. Whether it's on the side or anywhere, it must be below. It can't be above, okay? You've got to be below the centre line. So when you're round this way, below the centre line is anywhere here. When you're going that way, below the centre line is anywhere that side. So on a push cut, it's across there. On a pull cut, it's below this part. Never be, you can't go that way and let your cut drift up here. It's the same as a skew chisel, it will bang you over, give you a nasty catch. Okay, right, now I'm going to come round here to get this finish on here. So I'm going to put my cutter in there like so. I'm just going to gently work it down until I come to that bottom bit. There we go, that's nice. And now come round. Now that's the bevel is in contact. This is the bevel here. I'm rotating and I'm coming round. I've pushed a little bit harder there, so let's come round. There we go. Now, because my tool rest comes this way, ideally would be a curved tool rest for that, but I'm not going to bother about that. Right, come round here. I can just move it. There we go. We've got these, look, it's dry wood, and I've got these lovely shavings coming off. Okay, right, okay, that should be nice and smooth. That should be good enough for our finish. Yeah, we've got a nice, look, we've got no tear out on there. Okay, not worried about these lines on the bottom of here, because that's not finished. That's just our foot to hold. Okay, but this has got a beautiful finish on it. Yeah, if you run your fingers both ways, it feels smooth. So it takes very, very little sanding. Now I was hoping there was going to be a little bit of tear out on there, because then I could have shown you how we'd clean that up even better. But I'll do it, I'll go through it anyway. Okay, so if you, let's just imagine we had a little bit of tear out here. Okay, I'm going to lower my tool rest down, okay, and come in nice and close, and then I'm going to switch to our detail chisel. Okay, this is our detail chisel from the Type 3 set, and this is what we're going to use to clean up if we can imagine we've got some tear out there. We've got a bit of tear out on this end grain. This is what we would use to clean it up. And we will come in here again, the same, we start the cut, and then we come onto our bevel, and we will come round. Now you can only go up, you can't go downhill. Okay, you can never go downhill with this cut. So we have to move the tool rest round, because we've got to keep in line. So we just come back with the bevel on, and we'll pick that cut up again. There we are, we've got it there. Now, because I've got a very, very slight downhill there, It's only slight. I could pick it up and carry it, but ideally you want to go this way and blend the two together, just like that. Okay, and that, if you had any tear out whatsoever, that would take care of it. Okay, so let me bring you back around, because I think it gives a better shot of it from round here. There we go, and you can see we don't have any tear out whatsoever on that. Okay, and that's how you deal with any tear out, and this is all end grain here. Okay, and now for the sanding, because we're still going to sand it, we're not doing it as a non-sanding finish. The tiny bit of sanding we'd do, and we could start with a high grit, a very high grit, so we could start with a 320 or even a 400 on that, and just literally just give it that slight finish. It's got a beautiful finish anyway. Okay, so the next bit will be for us to go on to the hollowing, so I'll bring you back for that in a minute. Right, okay guys, I've brought you back. I've put my chuck on ready, okay, to mount this. So we've got our bit done. All I've done, I'm not finishing, putting finishes on, I'm showing you what I want to show is how to get a finish off of your tools. Okay, it's for using the carbide and not getting a load of tear out and stuff like that. Now you've just seen, I zoomed you right up, you could see it straight after I'd done the cutting, and that is the finish straight off the tool. Okay, that's the finish we've got. Right, so you can sand that, do what you want to do with your sanding, and you can sand it and get your finish on and do all that sort of stuff, and that's what you would do before you turn it round. But we're just gonna sort of, we've done that. Well, we've not done it because I'm not doing it for that. I want to show you the actual finish you can get off of your carbide tools, because everyone would say you can't do that. Well, we've just done it, so there you go. That shuts them up because it proved them wrong, innit? Right, I'm going to mount it in here. I've just got my gripper jaws here. I don't need a dovetail. I did put a slight dovetail to that. As you can see, it has got a slight dovetail, but I don't need it because I'm going to hold it in these gripper jaws. This is why I love these gripper jaws. I love gripper jaws and shark jaws. I like those sort of things. Right, so I've got that in there. So that's tight, and a quarter. That's it. That little quarter turn. That's a nip. That's all it takes. Don't over wrench it. And people that think you tighten that one and that one and that one and it makes it tighten, that's a total absolute load of rubbish. Each one of those does no more than the other. It's on that cog, it tightens, that's it, it's done. That's not going nowhere. Okay, that's it. Right, now this is where it becomes more important with your tool rest height. We want to be with the tool level, we want it to finish on center. Okay, just bring that down a fraction, like so. So we want to be finishing pretty much bang on center there. Okay, although most of our cutting will be done above center, we always want to finish on center, so we want that tool on center there. Now the temptation to just scrape and push it in will be there. Yes, you can, and you will hollow it very quickly. And a lot of times, if you want to get the middle out quick, then I would say yes, push in like that. Just be aware you are going to dull your cutters a lot quicker than if you cut with them. Okay, it's just a fact that scraping will dull it a lot quicker. But if you're going to do it as that and just scrape, and you want to do it that way, I hear a lot of people, they get catches and stuff when they're using the carbides flat like that. Your simple answer, scraping, there's two things to remember with scraping. Okay, and that's with traditional scrapers as well as carbide. Anything carbide do not make fantastic scrapers, I've got to say. They do not make the best. Okay, they do work as scraping, and that is basically because they are very, very sharp. They have a very, very sharp edge on them, and they will scrape, and what it does, it holds an edge for a long time. Okay, if that was actually still like a normal scraper, and which you'll find if you use a traditional scraper, is just pushing in with it flat. It won't stay sharp for very long at all. Okay, it'll do the stuff, but you'll get to a point, you'll make a few cuts, and then it will basically be just tearing out the fibres, and it'll be more burnishing it rather than cutting it. A carbide, because it has such a sharp edge and it holds that edge for a long time, it will actually give that effect of scrape it. It will work. It will remove the wood, but it will tear fibres out. It won't cut them out. A carbide used flat never ever cuts. Okay, that going in like that will never cut. It will always be scraping. It can only cut if it's used to cut, and this is what I want to try and tell you to learn, is to how to cut. When you learn how to cut and use your bevel, you will never ever have a catch, and you will never ever have any trouble with turning wood. Okay, scraping, if you just want to make things and you're not bothered about your finish or how much sanding you want to do, then scraping is what I always say is idiot proof. Anyone, you can just get anyone in and say scrape, that's it. There's two things. One, it has to be very sharp, whether it's carbide, whether it's a traditional scraper. It's the sharpness is very important. The other thing, and it's only two things, one is sharp, the other thing, always above center. If you get catches with your carbide, always set it above center and angle slightly down. You'll never get a catch. That's the only things you have to remember. It's pretty much idiot proof. That is it. And that's the same with scrapers. Okay, all you have to remember with your scrapers, I don't use them. See, I've got my scraper up here. Hang on, these ones. I've got a couple of these blades up here. They're not even in handles. I took them out of the handles. I've got them because I can put them into one of my collet ones. Okay, now this is just it's just a record power one. I only bought them because they had a round and square at the boot fair, brand new, still in the packets, £5 each. So I bought. Why wouldn't I? You know, it's just there. Now again, with this, if you want to use as a scraper, I would set it right there's center height, come slightly above center. So if you come here, just maybe a little bit high, let's go just to there. If you come in at that's center, just angle it to there to center, and all you got to do is just push in and scrape. You know, the only dangers you've got is you might fall asleep while turning because it's so boring to do, but you just scrape and that is it, and scrape, and when it goes blunt, don't let it go blunt, just go and sharp. This is razor sharp. This has got a little burr on it, okay, and it's razor sharp, and that will scrape that out, then go back, give it a sharp and come back in, do it again. It is good for refining and cleaning up. If you get ridges or tool marks, scrapers are good for getting rid of that. They're not necessarily fantastic for getting rid of torn grain unless you shear scrape with it, so then you've got to be able to roll it over. Okay, but scrapers the same as anything else. If you actually came in here and use the bevel and angle and come across here, you can actually cut. It will actually give a cut, and you can use it on a bevel, but they're a bit of a big bevel to ride really. Same as on the outside, you can come around, you can do everything with a scraper. You could turn the whole bowl with a scraper if you just want to do that. That is entirely up to you, but this will just hold that. They've got the same sort of sharpness, but this doesn't have a burr. This has got a burr on it, and once the burr goes, go back and resharpen it. With this, it will stay at that, but all you're doing is you're tearing fibres out. You know, that's the difference with a carbide. It does work. It's like I said, it's pretty idiot proof. If you set it up above center and come in like this angle, it's impossible. You can't get a catch. And if you struggle at getting that right, then just go for the total idiot proof one, which is a negative rake. You put a negative rake scraper on, and then you can't get a catch. You've got to do something very, 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 very silly to be able to get a catch. It is pretty much the most idiot proof tool there is. Okay, so there, we're going for on center. I'm probably slightly high. I'll adjust it as I go. Yeah, it'll be fine. But yes, carbide do not make the best of scrapers because they don't have a burr. You can run you can actually scrape your finger over this like this, and yes, I will scrape my finger, but I will only scrape it. If I turn like that and do the same thing, I'd probably cut right in very deep. So that's what we want to do with the wood. We want it to cut, not scrape. So I will again just zoom you in, and then we'll make a start on this. Right, okay guys, I've got you zoomed in. So I'm going to put my face shield on, and I'm going to start the hollowing of this. Now, like I said, if you want to do for speed, you can push in flat, but you will blunt your cutter. Now, another way, see, we can come in flat like this, and it will do it really nice and quick, and it makes it very tempting. If you want to push in, just turn your cutter slightly and push in backwards. Okay, we can still get nice shavings. Okay, and what we're doing is we're using the bevel, but we're going back in, so we're still cutting. Okay, and we get a nice finish still. Just all you're doing is you're rolling it over towards you, and you're letting the bevel come in, and I am slightly above centre for this as well. And then you've got to come down with it to come across to the centre. Okay, and you can do it that way. Now you need the handle dropping down, otherwise you can't get the bevel. Okay, it won't use the bevel. But again, now because I'm going this way, let me just get rid of that. Right, because I'm going in that way, but I'm using the back, the cut must be below centre. So I must be cutting on this part of the cutter, not this bit. If I go onto that bit, it's going to grab it and I'm going to get a catch. When you go the other way and you go this way, then the cut must be below the centre on this side. Okay, so we need to have it up like that, so the cutting is down there. Okay, and when you come in here to pick a cut up, just bring the tool in and rotate it. It's the easiest way. If you get problems with it catching, it's probably because you're trying to come in here to pick a cut up, and you're picking the cut up above the centre line, and if you pick it up above that bit, it's going to catch. Okay, it must always be below. So let's clean this front off, like so. That's nice and clean there. See, my handle is right down this side when I'm doing this one, and I'm coming across there, and that gives me a beautiful clean finish on there. Let me just without turning this off, I've done this earlier, I'll turn the bloody thing off. Right, okay, so I'll bring that down. Right, for me to do that front cut, my handle has actually got to be down this side of my lathe. Okay, on this side of my lathe, for me to perform this cut. Look, I'm up here and I'm coming across, because I've got to have that bevel in contact. Okay, and when I've got the bevel in contact and I do that cut, let me just bring you up again. This, hopefully you can see it, this is the finish we get. Okay, we get this finish, and that is by what I'm doing, I'm cutting here. I've got my bevel in control here, so if I just move it a fraction, there's no cut there. Now turn it over, there's the cutting. Okay, and of course I'm just bringing my handle across, but for that the handle has to be down the other side of the lathe. So my handle has to be down here to be able to achieve that cut. And the same when you come in here, if you've got to pick the cuts up from here, you need your handle down. Oh, sorry, I hit my head on that. You need your handle over here to come in. If you're coming in from this side, you can put the cutter on in a closed, what I always say closed, that would be open, fully open, that would be closed. Put it on, rotate and pick up the cut. Your handle has to be at the right angle, because you must pick up the cut below that center. If you come in here and you rotate and you pick the cut up there, that's what's going to happen. It's going to bang you down. Okay, you must pick up the cut on the bottom bit there. Okay, so let me bring you back in now. There we go. Right, just clean that front edge up. You see we get beautiful shavings coming off. Okay, and then for coming in, like I said, we must keep the cutter, the handle down, cutting edge, it must be cutting up there. Okay, that's harder for people to learn, to get it that way. You ought to be a lot better by coming in with it closed and rotating and coming in, because then you move it as soon as you see it pick up the shavings. And again, if you're slightly above, I'm very slightly high there. There we go. You come in, you pick it up above, and then as you come around to the center, you raise your handle, which brings your cutter to the middle, and you come off, and you get this beautiful smooth finish. Okay, and then we can come, get rid of some of this, and all I'm doing is this motion. So the cutter picks up here, okay, and we're doing this motion. And as you can see, I'm cutting on the lower edge of the cutter. And then when we've got it here, we can come in with it here. Right, we can run it back to wherever we want and pick up our cut. Now, this is of course a lot harder on small bowls with a 12mm cutter. This is where, when people say what tools would I say they should add. Oh, but again, if you want, you can come in this way and do your back cut. You can come in with it, just roll it this way and use the bevel on the other side. Okay, and you can do a back cut, and you can see the shavings that come out. And we can still come round here. Just watch when you come down to the bottom that you don't transfer it from below to above centre. Just turn it round and come back in that way, and there you go. Just have fun with it. It's all about having fun. Wood turning should be enjoyable. It should be fun. I mean, that's why we do it, isn't it? If you're doing it for a hobby, if you're not doing it for work, then it doesn't matter. The beauty with carbide, we can come out this way as well. Again, we start to do a bit more of a scrape, and then you can see the difference now. We're getting dust. Okay, we don't really want dust, but sometimes what it can do is it allow you to get this away here, that rather than trying to push in on this. So just bring your side, just cut it like this, cut into it. That gives you that. Then you've got somewhere to bring your cutter in, rotate it, come round, and then you start getting lovely shavings again. Sorry, I hit the camera with my head. Go up and down. If you have trouble, see, if you come in here and you try to just go round here, when you get down to this bit, you've got to transfer from below centre to above centre, and then that's got to grab and want to pull you over. Okay, and you'll get your catch. The way to avoid that happening is when you come round, as you come down to this bottom end, drop your handle and go up, and then raise your handle, and you will come down to centre, like so. Okay, we've got a few lines going on. That's because I'm just sort of like trying to demonstrate to you, and try to make all your cuts come from the outside in. You don't want to be going from the inside out. Okay, and then we would clean up around this side. I'm going to have to move you a little bit because you're in my way, as you can tell, because I keep banging my head on it. So we're going to clean up on this side. So we're going to come in and we're going to rotate, pick up that cut, and come right round. There we go, and we're picking that up nicely. We want to come right back to this edge now to pick it up. There we go. There we've got quite a smooth. Let's just stop and have a look anyway and see what we've got. See what we've got here. We've got a little bit on this edge. I'm going to have to come back up to there. But yeah, we're getting a nice smooth. We've got no tear out in there. That feels nice and smooth. So I've got to come back up to this edge and get another cut in. It needs a bit more meat out of there. Okay. But this is where, even with Carbide, it's not one tool for everything. You know, I mean, easiest way, like I said, come in flat and you can move a lot of it, then you can come back and just make a few clean up cuts. But as you come in, this is where the cut starts, okay? And if you close and get in and then just rotate, you will pick the cut up on the lower part, okay, same as a bowl gouge does, and you come round. Yes, I know people do try it this way with a bowl gouge and they come around and it's successful some of the time, but when it catches, well, you'll soon know about it. Your cuts always want to try and be below centre because you want catch free turning. You don't want catches. Catches are not nice. Okay, this is really awkward trying to do this with the camera where it is, but right, so we can come in here, right there, pick the cut up, rotate it, pick the cut up. Right, there we go. We've cleaned that edge up. We've come down, we're on to the bottom. We're going to re-pick that cut up where it was. I could do with a light in there really. I suppose I should have done. Right, I've got a little bump just there. I can just feel it. Again, when you touch, very gentle. Don't dig, don't grab hold. Just like that. Nothing's going to happen. Right, there we go. Again, if you've got to come back for something, put it on, bring it back, bring it past, open it, rotate in nice and gentle. Down to centre. There we go. That gives us our nice little finish cut on that, and there we're clean right up to the edge now. We've cleaned it. I've got to just take a pass on that front. Sorry, I've done that when I come out. So now all I've got to do is take that little clean on that front. That's it. It's all gone. It's cleaned. That's all it took to clean that up, and now we have this nice finish. Again, a little bit of sanding, and that'll be it. This isn't no sanding. This is just how to get. It's a bit awkward here with the trying to get around here with the get the light angle right. It's hard when you're on your own like this because I can't see in the camera and turn at the same time. I'm good, but I'm not that good. Right, there we go. See, and you can see, look, we've got no tear out. Okay, we got a few little marks from the bar. Like I said, I wouldn't actually go for the 12mm on one this size. This is where this part of your bar might rub as you come round. Okay, for me, I would go over to a 9mm box hollower, which would be here, which would be this tool. Okay, it's a lot smaller on the bevel, so that would come in, pick that cut up, and I'd get around there without the bar touching. The trouble with Carbide, we have to have the cutter mounted on a piece of steel. Okay, and when we do that, obviously we have this extended bevel. Okay, and we only really want this bit of bevel up here, but we can't do that because it's Carbide. Okay, so when this comes in and I come down here, as I come round, it's normally this bit of bar that will give you that little mark, but that's not actually a tool mark, and it it just sands away straight away. As soon as you touch it with paper, it's gone. The other thing, like I said, for a bowl this size, really, I would use the 9mm. And I would come in here. This is when people say, what else, what other tool should I add to my Type 3 set? 100% definitely a box hollower. Number one box hollower. You can come in here and you can pick this cut up, maintain, and not get the bar interfere there. Okay, the other tool I would recommend would be one of the SCHs. Now that is entirely up to you what you want. They will all do pretty much the same job. I love the 6mm. Okay, this little 6mm one is absolutely fantastic. That will come in and that will take a cut around there and give you a beautiful smooth finish cut, exactly the same as this. Okay, with no marks, no bevel marks, no nothing, and virtually hardly any sanding to do on it. All this is, you got a few, you can see the lines there. They're not tool marks, they're not torn or anything. That is just sheerly simply come from the actual metal bar that rubs. That's why, like I say, there isn't one tool for everything. You know, you can do things with one tool, but ideally you want a few tools. Now that with a very, very quick sand, those little marks would just be gone. Okay, but what I'm trying to show is what you can get off of the tool with your carbides. Okay, and that there you can see there's no torn grain whatsoever in there. Okay, none at all. Now if I was doing this and I was finishing it, I would actually just have changed over to a different tool, the 9mm, like I said, or even the 6mm, or any of the SCH ones will do it, and you wouldn't have those lines which are simply from the bar rubbing. But that will literally sand out within seconds as soon as you put whichever grip you use. But that's what you want, is this smoothness, because then you can start sanding and just sand for a finish and not sand to remove torn grain. I mean, this is the outside that we've done, look, you know, and we get the same, we get a few little marks, but that's where the bar just rubbed it. That literally goes away straight away. So you will sand for a finish, you won't sand to remove torn grain. Okay, and that's how we deal with that. So there we go. So I'll say toodle pip for now, guys, and join me on the next one, and we'll do the next bit with our carbides.